I don't want to have to lose sleep at night knowing that my cash flow is coming from something or that I have a debt to pay every single month.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
You know, every once in a while, I get an opportunity to do some coaching, not just within the appraisal space, but also I've had a little bit of experience over the last couple of years with vacation rentals, Airbnbs, Verbos, that kind of thing. And this morning was no exception. I was able to meet with a couple who is looking to get into the Airbnb world and brought up a couple of questions that I thought might be okay to answer here on the podcast. First, I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by a couple of great companies, one of them being Spark. Spark for appraisers, folks, is the ability for you to download data directly into your report seamlessly. Go to sparkforappraisers.com. Again, that is sparkforappraisers.com. And Working RE Magazine. Working RE, folks, is your friend when it comes to real estate and appraisal and what we do as real estate appraisers. Check them out by going to their website at workingre.com. Again, workingre.com. All right, folks, I have made a big change in my investment portfolio in the last, I was going to say the last 6 months, but really it's been the last 2 months, 2 to 3 months. I made the decision about 3 months ago, and it happened very quickly, that lots and lots has changed when it comes to my long-term portfolio. Specifically, I am selling off, by the time this airs, actually, by the time this recording airs, I will have sold off 5 of my 9 vacation rental properties, okay? The question that came up this morning in my coaching session with this group, with this couple rather, was why? Why are you selling off your Airbnbs, Dustin? Do you foresee that there's going to be a downturn in the residential real estate market? The answer to that, folks, is, well, kind of yes and no, but more no than yes. Stick with me. The reason that I am selling off my Airbnbs is not what most people think. In fact, my sister, who, I love dearly and does not live close to me, but we talk pretty frequently. She sent me a reel on Instagram recently, and she said, I wondered if this is why you're doing what you're doing. And the reel basically was a couple of individuals. I don't know who they were. I was not familiar with them, but I guess they're influencers in the Airbnb world. And they were talking about how there is a downturn in Airbnbs and it's going to probably escalate, right? There's going to be more of a downturn in Airbnbs coming up. And some of the reasons they gave are, people are tired of the cleaning fees. They're tired of the hassle. They're tired of going to an Airbnb and it not being clean. They're tired of the checklist of things that they've got to do the morning that they check out, right? Now, my answer to her was very quick. And I said, no, that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think I'm somewhat insulated from that in the sense that, in the metro areas, there's a bigger downturn in Airbnb vacation rentals in general than there are in some of the others. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, there's a lot of cities, municipalities, and even homeowners associations that are increasingly saying, hey, we don't like this. We don't like the idea of this, and we're going to regulate these individuals out. Maybe grandfather a few in, but no more new ones, okay? So that's happening. The other thing that's happening is individuals, as I mentioned earlier, are getting a little tired and fed up with certain things. And so they're seeing hotels as an option, right? An alternative to Airbnb. So they're saying, on one hand, I can do this, and that means I've got a cleaning fee and a service fee and a checklist and everything else to deal with, or I can just go to a Hilton or a Marriott, and I just know that it's going to be clean, and I know it's going to be ready, and I know the service is going to go well, and everything else, okay? I get that. But my answer to my sister is no. I think I'm a little bit insulated to that because, first of all, there's not a whole lot of hotels in the areas that I've decided. The areas that I've kept the Airbnbs in, I've strategically picked. Okay. So two of them are right outside Yellowstone National Park, and two of them are right outside Glacier National Park. Folks, people are not going to stop traveling to national parks. And I know some of you are saying, well, yeah, what about the federal downturn in the budget and the bup, 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 and people are, I get it, folks, but here's the thing. I don't think Yellowstone National Park and Glacier National Park are going to go out of business. They might have a temporary reset, if you will, and slow down. But they're certainly not going to go out of business. Number one. Number two, hotels are not really an option. They are, but they're expensive and they're hard to find. And number two, people travel to those areas in families. And families don't want two to three hotel rooms. They want one place that they can share a kitchen and share a communal living room area and be together as a family. And so I think that my vacation rentals will do fine moving forward. That is not the reason that I downgraded, if you will, from 9 to 4. I am going to tell you why I downgraded, but first I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by a couple of great companies, one of them being Working RE Magazine. What does it stand for? Or Working RE. What is Working RE? Working RE stands for Working Real Estate Magazine. Folks, it's about you, the appraiser, and what you do, and these people get it. And folks, it's a simple, easy way to get your news, if you will, with regard to mortgages and appraisals and USPAP and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all the regulators and the AMCs and the fees and everything else. Folks, it's a one-stop shop for what we do as appraisers. It's called Working RE Magazine, and you can find them on their website at workingre.com. We're also sponsored, of course, by Spark. Spark is created to allow appraisers to download information directly into their report. It's Spark for appraisers. To learn more, Spark for appraisers, for your ability to take the data that you sourced, that you found, and put it directly into your report seamlessly. Spark for appraisers.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair, answering some questions that have come up recently about some changes that I've made to my business portfolio, my personal portfolio, my retirement plan, if you will. And basically, I have, let me back up for just a second and tell you why I did Airbnbs. Make it very simple. I believe in real estate. I believe it's a good long-term store of capital. And I believe it also gives me some cash flow when I do some Airbnbs. Rentals are one thing, right? And a lot of people are just barely breaking even at that, right? The old 1% rule is dead, doesn't exist anymore. For those of you who don't know what that is, you're not in real estate and investing, just look it up, right? The 1% rule doesn't exist anymore. And as a consequence, most people that are doing long-term rentals are not making money. Now, I understand that Airbnb is a business. A lot of people don't understand that. It's a hospitality business, folks. It is not a real estate business. It is a hospitality business. And that makes all the difference when you realize that. Okay. So there's a lot that's involved in that. Okay. But I did it for twofold. Number one, long-term store of value. So I expect that the price or value of real estate over time will go up as it has historically, and that my retirement is going to look a lot better than my investment down here, right? Take a little cash down here, stick it in real estate, and up here, when you cash out, if you will, or refi or do whatever tool you want to use with your investment side, that it's going to be worth a whole lot more that you bought it for. That's number one. Number two, monthly cash flow. I don't want to just be doing appraisals. I don't want to count on just my appraisal income for income. I want to be able to jump on Amazon Prime and buy the new toy in one click and believe that I can pay for it, right, in one click. And sometimes the ups and downs of the real estate appraisal market make that very difficult. I want something else that's going to give me cash flow with very little input. I'm now down to about 2 to 3 hours per week as an Airbnb host. Okay. And that's the amount of time that I'm spending in the Airbnb world. So it makes for some really, really good cash flow and long-term store value. Okay. So a couple of things have happened. First of all, I will admit I am a little bit, and I want to stress a little bit, not a lot bit. I do not think there's going to be another 2009, 2010, 2008, right? I don't think that's happening. I do believe that we're going to see a softening of the real estate market. And here's why. It's very simple. It comes down to one thing, right? Kids can't afford real estate. That's it. Right. Obviously, it's more deep than that. It's more challenging than that. That's not the full answer, but that's the gist of it. Okay. I don't believe that real estate prices, the way that they are sustainable. Okay. More and more people are not just going to buy more and more real estate because they have the money and then suck the life out of kids like my kids that are growing up and don't have the money to be able to, even with a small percentage down, don't have the money to pay a monthly fee that will allow them to own real estate. I just don't think that's sustainable. That's number one. I see something changing. I just don't know what. But the bigger reason is more important. The bigger reason is Bitcoin. I I know some of you are like, oh, Dustin, here we go again. Bitcoin. You're such a crazy guy. It's going to zero. Okay, folks, I'm not going to make this a podcast into Bitcoin. I've done that before. If you want to know my feelings on Bitcoin, go back and just a couple months ago, I did a big long spiel about Bitcoin. Okay, nothing's changed for me. Um, But if real estate is a long-term store of capital, long-term store of money, right? You got this chunk of money. Let's call it $1 million. Okay. You can put that in the bank and lose money. You can put it in real estate and stay basically with inflation. And it really is. Check my numbers. Real estate does not make money over inflation. It just treads water. Okay. Or I can stick that in Bitcoin and make 63% a year. Okay. Now minus inflation, and I'm still making 50% a year. Okay. Bitcoin doesn't call at 3 a.m. with a lockout. Bitcoin doesn't take insurance. Bitcoin doesn't get clogged toilets. Bitcoin is one of those things that you store it and keep it. Now, does it give me the cash flow that Airbnbs will? No, not now. I do believe that will come down the road. Okay. And again, I can go into detail. It's too broad a topic for this small, limited time podcast. Okay. But I do believe there will come a time where I'll never have to sell my Bitcoin, that I will live off of the interest alone on my Bitcoin. I do believe that's coming. Okay. But for now, I still have to work. I still have to do appraisals. I still have to coach. I still have to run my micro farm. I still need to do all the things that I need to do to keep going. So that's why, number one, the reason I didn't sell them all. Well, the number one reason I didn't sell all of my Airbnbs is called I have a wife. And my wife is very wise. And she said, listen, I know you're really high on this thing, but could we at least keep a little bit in real estate? And I listened to her because I'm a dutiful husband. And we're keeping less than half, but half of the Airbnbs. So a couple of reasons why. Number one, yeah, the eggs in one basket thing. Okay, if it were up to me, I still think that the Bitcoin basket is awesome and big and wonderful. Okay, I'd probably be there. Number two, not just all the eggs in one basket, but it does give some cash flow as well. So what happened was, with the money that I took from the 5 Airbnbs that I sold, I am currently in the process of transferring that into debt pay down and really pay off. My goal is to pay off all of the other 4 Airbnbs. By the way, all 9 of my Airbnbs were leveraged. Okay. Every one of them had a mortgage, some of them very high. Okay. One of them had like a 5.5 interest rate. No, I know some of you are like 5.5, that's high. Yeah, at the time it was high. Okay. One of them has a 2.5 interest rate. That's when I started. And I'm still paying it off, right? People think I'm crazy. You're paying off an Airbnb that's a 2.5 interest rate. Take that money and put it in Bitcoin. Maybe I should. But here's the thing. I like to sleep well at night. Okay. I don't have to worry about the downturn when Trump announces that they're going to lay off a bunch of rangers at Yellowstone. And so Yellowstone is claiming that they can't, be fully open. And some people, I literally have had cancellations already this year for people saying, we're not going to come to Yellowstone this year. We just don't know if it's even going to be open. Okay, it'll be open, but that's okay. That's their decision. My point is, I don't want to have to lose sleep at night knowing that my cash flow is coming from something, or that I have a debt to pay every single month. I've got that monthly nut that I've got to take care of with the banks that I'm working. I would rather have that money and put it in Bitcoin and pay off the other 4, so that if I had to, I could mothball every one of my properties for a while, have very minimal expenses. Right? You're talking taxes, you're talking insurance, you're talking minimal utilities if I'm not renting it out regularly. Okay. And I can sleep well at night. I like that idea. I like the idea of the real estate being mine. Okay. Why do I share this with you? Well, number one, and like I started out today, okay, I've been asked the question, not just this morning, but multiple times. So there you go. I'm an open book. And number two, I hope that it helps you in your outlook. Okay. One of the things that I saw, I think it was yesterday, and it was Lawrence Leopard. Look him up. I'm reading his book currently, and he wrote a book called The Big Print. Basically talks about fiat money and why Bitcoin's a better store of value. And one of the things he said on a video this morning, a little interview that he was doing, and I'm going to paraphrase, but basically he said, I like the idea that I don't have to worry about my future. He said, again, paraphrasing, I'm 100% convinced that Bitcoin is going to the moon, and I've got enough of it that I feel good about my future. I don't have to worry about my retirement, don't have to worry about where the next dollar is coming from, don't have to worry about whether I'm going to have enough money to retire. I just know I'll be fine. And folks, that's how I feel about Bitcoin and real estate, but mostly Bitcoin. Thank you for joining me today, folks. By the way, we are coming to Atlanta, Georgia, June 7th. I think that's the right date. I should look it up. I keep saying that on the podcast. I think it's June 7th. You'll get it when you get on my website. Look for the workshop on AI, artificial intelligence, coming to Atlanta, Georgia. And then, by the way, we're going to spend the afternoon masterminding. You can be a part of it. Limited seats available, very minimal cost. Come join us in Atlanta, Georgia in June. Thanks, folks, and go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.